Greetings and welcome to the Buena High School Library. My name is Mr. Levin. I'm the library media teacher here at Buena, and today we're going to give you a little guided tour of our library media center. So my name, Levin, how the heck do you pronounce that? Once upon a time, when I was a student at Buena High School, not a single one of my teachers pronounced my name correctly. So, got a little frustrating, but I learned a little trick. If you think of it like you live in a house, okay? The only difference is that instead of saying live in, you put the emphasis on the second half, so it's Levin, right? So, henceforth, make sure you always get the name right, Mr. Levin. So how did I end up as a librarian? Contrary to popular belief, most people don't come right out of the womb thinking, I'm going to be a librarian one day. In fact, I actually started off as an English teacher. I taught for 2 years at Channel Islands High School in Oxnard. Then I taught for 6 years at Buena High School. And then in 2010, the librarian position opened up. So at heart, I still feel like I'm an English teacher working in a librarian's job, but for the last few years, this has been my home in the Buena Library. So this room that you're currently seeing around you used to be the reference room of the library. It was filled with old, dusty, stale, boring books. But in the fall of 2015, we redesigned it to give it more of a cafe feel. So this new place, The Hub, as it was nicknamed by our art teacher, Ms. Rapatoni, is an environment for students to get together, to collaborate, to hang out, to get things done. So how does our library organize the 25,000 books in our collection? Well, obviously, that's quite a big task. We use something called the Dewey Decimal System. Now, a gentleman named Melville Dewey, back in the 1800s, invented this system, which was first published in 1876, and he assigned numbers to go along with the specific topic or subject that a book was detailing. So, of these many different topics and subjects, each one is assigned a specific number or a specific subset number to classify what that book is about. So for example, all books involving music would be grouped together in the same location. Now music is a form of art. So if you see the number 700, that's any form of art, okay? If I'm looking for something specifically on music, I'm going to be looking for a number that's in the 780s. So to find it in our library, I would see 780s is between 759.2 and 799.32. As I'm looking down this aisle, and I look at the little white placards going down, I'm going to see books in the 780s. So a book that's specifically about a band, like the Beatles, has been assigned the call number right here, 782.42166. The author's name, Davies, is immediately below that, DAV. But that is how I'm going to find books specifically on one particular topic, like music. So for all fiction books, as you can see from the sign up there, all fiction books are located along the back wall of the library. To locate the call number, if you look on the spine of the book, you'll see FIC, which is obviously short for fiction. But then below that, you're going to see a few letters, the first 3 letters of the author's last name. So all of the books in the Percy Jackson series, written by Rick Riordan, you're going to find in the fiction section, hence FIC. And then since the author's last name is Riordan, you will see RIO immediately below that. To find the book, you would walk along the fiction wall until you find the R's. You would look for RIO, and then all of the books by Rick Riordan will be located in the same section. So nonfiction books, you actually have a real number right here on the spine with the call number. Now the first part of that, the series, the 700s, for instance, is anything involving art. 780s is anything involving music. This particular book, because it's a biography of a band, is going to be 782.42166. To find this book, once again, once I know that number, I'm going to look around in the 700s, which would be in this row, 780s, which will be right here in this section. If I narrow it down more to 782.42166, all of these books are going to be located on the shelf right over here. If I'm looking, the next part of the call number, the author's last name, will be filed alphabetically within that call number section. So DAV would be right here between BER and DIL. We have a special section right here specifically just for story collections. Some authors, like Edgar Allan Poe, the famous horror author, had a whole collection of short stories and poetry. His works will not be found on the fiction wall, but instead will be located here in the story collection section. As you look on the side, you'll see the beginning of the call number is SC, which is short for story collection. And then immediately below that, just like with fiction, POE is the author's last name for Edgar Allan Poe. So I would look here, SC and POE. All of Edgar Allan Poe's books are going to be located in the same section right down here. Occasionally, with some books that have multiple authors, you'll have, instead of every single author's name listed, the call number will reflect more the title. So for instance, this particular book on American history, 900s because it's history, 973 because it's U.S. history, 973.91 because it's modern U.S. history. But here, where an author's last name would normally go, we have the first 3 letters of the title. So 973.91 AME actually reflects the title American Decades. So I'm very lucky here in the library because I have a variety of people to help run the show. You'll notice that when you come in, it won't be just my pretty face, but we have 2 wonderful library technicians. And we also have wonderful TAs who sign up to work for us free of charge. Now, obviously, these are wonderful, great human beings. You want to be nice to them because it's the right thing to do. They are here to help you, and they are here to make sure that you have an excellent transaction at the Buena High School Library. So as you enter into the library, you'll notice that we have the front desk right over here. One of the library technicians or a fantastic TA will be here available to help you out. Now when you come up and you're checking out any books or textbooks or CDs or DVDs, you'll always want to have your ID card with you. We'll scan it, check your item out to you, and give it right back. So when it's time for you to come check out your items, you would head up to the front desk, you would hand the worker your student ID card. We in turn use this, scan your ID, and then as it brings up your account here on the screen, we will take the items and scan them individually. If you check out a book like this, the due date is always going to be 2 weeks from the following Monday. We will take the item, we'll scan it, we'll hand you a card and have you sign on the next line. We'll turn off the alarm at that point in time. And what we will do on the inside of the book, we will stamp the due date. So in case you forget, it's right there for you to see. We take the card that you signed for our records. We also stamp that and hold on to that in case there's a question of whether or not you've turned in your item. Now, as opposed to books, which are checked out for 2 weeks and change, DVDs and CDs are only checked out for 1 week, for 7 days. So if you check out something on, say, a Monday, it will be due back the following Monday. Now, we mentioned before that CDs and DVDs are not inside of the cases. We keep the cases empty to prevent theft. So if you're checking this out, we will scan it in our computer. We will grab the disc from behind the front desk, put the disc inside the case for you, and then stamp it for you with the due date. Once the items are in your possession, you are free to go, take them home, and enjoy. Thank you. Also, if you print up anything from our computers here, it always prints up to the printer right over here. So if you're going to pay for your print ups, this would be the location for that.
Hello.
You have a printout?
Yeah.
Okay, 5 cents, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, it's 50 cents for color.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you walk further back over this way, you'll notice we have some ELD materials over here. We have a couple of older sets of encyclopedias. Further on back this way, we have a spinning rack highlighting some of our newest releases and additions to the library. We have encyclopedias. Although the Buena Library is primarily a PC computer-oriented lab, we do have 4 Apple computers in the library. Back here in our little computer room, you'll notice the 4 Apple computers are lined against the wall. These are the only 4 computers in the entire library that have Photoshop. Obviously, they have built-in Apple software as well. So iTunes, GarageBand, iMovie, any of that is available on those Apple computers. Otherwise, the rest of the facility is PC and Windows-oriented computers. Now you'll notice along this back wall here, we have a conference room that is scheduled for students or for staff members or parents to meet. We've got a row of computers, and immediately back over this way, we have one of my personal favorites, the graphic novels. So, commonly called comic books, graphic novels are actually one of the biggest formats in circulation in the library. Now, as you flip on through, you might see, the old school comic book format. Sometimes, however, you'll notice that these are not meant for little kids, but more for an adult audience. You'll see over here, we have a handful of magazines as well as the rest of our graphic novel collection. And back over here, we have the beginning of the fiction section. Now, as you walk on through, you'll notice it's alphabetical by the author's last name. So we'll start with the A's, like Laurie Haltz Anderson. As we move on through, we might get to something like The Hunger Games, featuring Suzanne Collins. Eventually, we're going to pass Charles Dickens. We'll make our way through. We'll say hi to John Green over here. About halfway through the fiction collection, we're going to stumble across the books of our good friend, Stephen King. We have many of his titles in our collection. Further on down the wall, we'll keep going. We'll pass Stephanie Meyer. We'll pass J.K. Rowling. Eventually, over here, we'll get to Mr. Rick Riordan, the author of the Percy Jackson books. And as I mentioned before, If you're looking for any of those particular titles, you have the call number on the side, FIC for fiction, and then the author's last name. The fiction section continues along this back wall right over here, and then actually curves around and ends right over on this side. Whereas our fiction section runs the length of the back wall, starting right here on row A, aisles B through K are the nonfiction books. Now, obviously, fiction is imaginary, made-up stories. Nonfiction is all truthful, factual things. You'll notice that each of these different rows has placards on the side with the numbers of the Dewey Decimal collection that are on that particular row. If you're looking for a specific topic, you're going to look for those numbers and then look on each of those rows. Eventually, as you work your way on down, you'll get to the biographies, which are in the 920s and 921. And then anything in the 900s is history, specifically US history over here in the 973 region. Anything modern US history would be 973.91. This shelving unit by the front desk has textbooks for every single class on campus. If you come to the library and you need to use one of our textbooks, you can use it while you're in here. Catch up on your homework, make sure you get everything done in time. But you have to make sure that you put it back. If you accidentally forget and you walk on through the exit over here, you'll notice that it sets off our alarm. Now, not just the textbooks, but every single one of the 25,000 items in our collection has been alarmed. So that's just a gentle reminder that you need to either A, put those items back, or B, make sure you check them out properly by going to the front desk with your ID card and checking out the item there. So although CDs are quickly becoming an obsolete format with the advent of digital technology and digital resources, we do have a sizable CD collection of over 500 discs, many of which were donated by Buena High School staff and students. As we walk a little bit further down this way, you'll notice we have our DVD section. And with our DVDs, we tend to put our new releases right over here on this front, but then the rest of them are alphabetized by the first letter of the title. Many of these titles are of stories that we currently have the books. Some of the other titles are ones that are popular films, and then still other ones are titles that relate to different subject matters or content areas. One thing you'll notice about our DVDs, as well as our CDs in the CD section, if you open up the case, you will not find the disc on the inside. To prevent theft, we keep all of the discs behind the front desk. To check out a movie like this one, The Great Gatsby, you would take the empty case to the front desk. We, behind the front desk, will find the disc, put it inside the case for you, and then you will have the opportunity to check it out. Although the vast majority of the movies in our DVD collection are PG through PG-13, we do have a handful of rated R films. Now, these films have been carefully selected to complement the curriculum of things studied on campus at Buena High School. In order to check these films out, however, you will need to get a parent permission slip signed for that particular film. You'll notice all of our rated R movies have been marked with an R sticker, as well as a warning saying this cannot be checked out without a parent permission slip. To access the Buena Library catalog, type in library.venturausd.org. On the next screen, go ahead and click on Buena High School. Now before you do anything else, go to the upper right-hand corner, click on Login, type in your student ID number. After you've done that, go ahead and type in your school-assigned password. And then click the Login button. Once you've done that, you'll notice your name appears in the upper right-hand corner, and you're free to begin your search. Now let's say you're looking for the Percy Jackson series of books. Obviously, Percy's name is not in the title of most of those books, but if you type in the character name, Percy Jackson, and you click on Keyword, it's going to show you all of the books in our library catalog that have been tagged with the name Percy Jackson. Now, we're not looking for the graphic novel, we're not looking for the DVDs, we're looking for the actual books. So you'll notice right here the call number, FICRIO, FIC, Rio for fiction, and RIO for Riordan. Now, each of those, like I mentioned before, will be grouped together on the library shelves. When you click on a title, like the Sea of Monsters, you'll notice that Percy Jackson, the original keyword search terms, shows up highlighted. This will show you the series of books. You can also look under publication info for the city, company, and date of publication. Now let's try another search. Let's say you're doing a research paper on the band the Beach Boys. You would type in Beach Boys, you'd hit enter, and when you're looking at your search results, you'll notice that we do have the print book. Below that, though, we also have an ebook version. After you've logged into the library database, if you click on the Open button, it'll open up a separate tab with the Follett Shelf ebook reader. Now when it loads, you can see the cover of the book, the author, and you can scroll through each of the pages one by one. Now there's another option here. If you go down to Pages and click on that, you can actually go to a specific page number. So if we're looking for page 79, for instance, and we hit enter, we'll notice the first word on page 79 is the word record, as in record companies. For your scavenger hunt, you're going to have to do this a couple different times, looking up a specific page in a book, looking up a specific word. Now if we go back over here, we can click on these hyperlinks, which will take us to the front cover, the copyright page, the dedication page, the contents, etc. And that way you can navigate your way through the ebook just like you would normally flipping through a print book. So let's talk a little bit about online research. People ask all the time, why can't I just use the internet to find all the information I need? The problem is that everyone's favorite websites, for instance Wikipedia, are not always 100% reliable. This is an actual entry that you see on the screen here from Star Wars Episode 7 when the movie was first announced. Now obviously it was not directed by Michael Bay. It was not produced by L. Ron Hubbard, nor written by him. He's the guy who founded Scientology. The screenplay was definitely not by Satan, and the cast, the music, all the information down to the bottom, box office, incorrect. So you have to ask yourself, is this really reliable information? Here is another example of a Wikipedia fail. Not too long ago, someone hacked into the synopsis for the story The Sniper, typed in a bunch of information about the video game Flappy Bird, and repeated Flappy Bird did nothing wrong over and over and over again. So what's the moral of the story? My message to you is this: you have to be smarter than the internet. You have to know whether or not the information you see on a computer screen is reliable and trustworthy. This is going to be incredibly important as you write research papers in high school. You'll most likely be writing one per year at least. And then into college, when you're writing, most likely, at least one per class per semester. Finding reliable information, whether it's in the pages of a book or on a computer screen, is incredibly important. With that, I wish you good luck.